David, just a yes or no answer.
Okay.
I have to ask. If I don't, people will be upset. Obviously, everybody talks about the reunion. So
a yes or no?
Let me just ask you the question. So I've asked you, do you think there's any chance of a People versus OJ reunion? Everybody wants it. We'd love it. Is there any chance? Here they come into the studio. The legendary Nick Mohammed and his friend David are now live with us.
I'm going to have a seat.
Morning,
guys.
gentlemen. But Nick Mohammed, born in Leeds.
Yes.
David Schwimmer, born in Flushing, Queens.
Queens, yeah.
Right. Nick, a little background on both of our guests. Obviously, David Schwimmer. You went to Beverly Hills High School?
Yes, I did. My parents, I grew up, I was born in New York, but grew up all over L.A. My parents moved like 12 or 13 times.
Were they on the run?
I'm sorry?
Were they on the
They
run?
were on the run, yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for...
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
spilling
huge.
the beans.
Yeah.
No, they were, they were lawyers, young lawyers who had moved out to California for job opportunities and to escape the cold of New York. And then, but we kept moving all over the place, and my parents intentionally moved to the Beverly Hills area so that I could go to that public high school. The Beverly Hills High School is a public high school, but one of the most. It had one of the best programs for a public high school in LA County, especially the theater department was really strong and very strong for prepping you for college. So they moved there, and my parents had law practices in Beverly Hills and Century City, so it was more convenient for them to work. Yeah. So I ended up going there. That was a long story just to say yes.
Fine.
Sorry about that.
And Nick, you went to Durham University.
I did, yes.
Very interesting.
See, that's a succinct, proper answer that
Yeah.
Nick just gave, and I just went on.
I do love the fact I've seen a couple of interviews with you guys, and I've watched the show, and genuinely, and it's such a pleasure to be able to tell the truth when I say I really enjoyed it.
It's really great.
Obviously, every guest that comes on, we enjoy their work,
Yeah.
but this time round, we really, really did.
Oh,
It's a
thank you.
We
great.
saw it yesterday.
Great
It's
show.
really good.
Oh,
really
that's
funny.
good.
Very
Yeah,
funny.
really
Thank
good.
you.
But I love the fact that you two have obviously got a great little bonding friendship going on, and you are. I just love the polar opposites that you two have. Like, for example, obviously, David Schwimmer, you've done a lot of great work, but you are worldwide famous because of that TV show. And Nick, you played the violin in your university orchestra, and it's so lovely that you've come
Just
together.
two worlds.
Yeah, exactly. So I always had a sense that it might amount to meeting David at some point.
Yeah.
This violin will lead me
You would have
to.
been
I know
watching
what I'm
him
doing.
back in the day, playing the violin, going, one day.
Oh, yeah, you never
Me
know.
and
It's how I met my wife, though, playing the violin.
Really?
Yeah, so good things happen if you play the violin, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So the show, let's talk about the show, which is called, now, do I call it Intelligence
Yeah.
or do I call it Intelligence?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Oh, you know what? You're the first person to ask that.
Yeah.
I think intelligence.
Intelligence.
Because
Yeah.
when you watch it,
It
it's
just goes-
Intelligence.
We found it funny that that you just split up the word in a weird way. Like we did, we always found it funny, but it's
Unnecessarily
yeah, and it
split
just
up
sort of
the
and it
word.
sort of it seemed to kind of stick, didn't it? Because it was just in an early edit as just an idea, and then it just stuck. But I think intelligence rather than. But I think there's a cut of the trailer at the end where it just says very, very quietly intelligence. I think you can hear that.
Really?
Oh,
I think
really?
you can- yeah.
okay.
If you listen at the very end of one of the trailers, I'm
Yeah.
sure
Oh.
it splits up the word like that.
I love that. You're because this is your baby, right? You created this, you wrote it,
Yeah.
and you're literally watching every millisecond of even the promos for it. Whereas David's like, my work is done here. I'm not going to sit and watch the
No, you're
promos.
surprised David's all over the whole shebang, really.
Yeah, it's been an incredible collaboration the whole way from really start to finish, and we're both executive producers as well on it. So we're really hands on in the edit, in all of post production, early on in the
Scripts
casting,
and everything.
finding this great director Matt Lipsey, who's directing all the series. And yeah, it's just been a great team, including the producers.
Yeah, it's been really
Charlie
collaborative.
Leach and Neris and Tom Hodges. So it's been great.
And what is it like with both of you being executive producers. So, Nick, this is your idea.
Yeah.
Okay. David, you have directed, you have produced lots of stuff. You starred in one of the biggest comedy shows in the world ever. So, is there ever a bit where David goes, let's do this, and you go, how about we do this? And then David looks at you and goes, have you seen my CV?
No.
You played
I know what I'm talking about.
You were in a show called Hank Zipper, and I was in this juggernaut.
Well, I mean, it was so supported to know that we could like lean on David's experience. But there were always conversations, and not just between us, but with the director and producers, the channel, the other cast. We do lots of sort of workshoppy read-throughs as well to sort of develop, to test the material and the characters, and and of course there'd be differences of opinion somewhere, but we would always choose what was best for the show. It was never about who was right or wrong, and those, I think, for the most part, everyone's on the same page. I mean, tonally we knew what the show was, and but yeah, I mean, but of course, why wouldn't it'd be ridiculous of me to pretend that I know more about this kind of area, but for the large part, we were just working together and just trying to create the best show, really.
Yeah, and for my part, I mean, I come from ensemble theater, where, I mean, that's where I'm kind of hardwired to. I always defer to, first of all, the writer, and Nick's the creator. This is his idea. This is, it's coming from him. All these characters are his. Yes, I've worked with him to flesh out my character more and figure out his backstory, but this whole thing is his. So I always keep that. I try to keep that in mind, even when I'm pushing, and I fight passionately and hard for my idea if I believe in it, but always with this atmosphere of no ego and mutual respect. And by the way, like, I don't care where the best idea comes from. It could come from a grip on set. It could come from, makeup. I don't care if it's the funniest idea and best for the show. That gets in the show. That's in the show then.
I suddenly realised we haven't actually told everybody what the show is about. We've basically said how great it is. We're now talking about the intricacies of making it.
True.
We've not actually told everybody what it's about. So very quickly,
So there's 6 friends in New York.
Never going to work.
I don't think so. No.
It's been done. It's a workplace sitcom set inside GCHQ, so it's the government communication headquarters. So this chiefly focuses on a group who deal with cybercrime, and I guess it's disrupted because this NSA agent, played by David, kind of comes in to join the team. It's meant to be collaborative, but he massively shakes things up. So it's a workplace sitcom, but with the high stakes of national security in the background.
When David's character first appears on screen, it's beautiful.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
I don't think in the first scene you're in, you even speak.
No.
And please don't take this the wrong way, but it's perfect. It's
good.
very funny.
Yeah, it is.
It's really good.
We worked hard on trying to figure out the establishing image or the establishing moment. So I'm really happy to hear that.
It's really, really good. I really like it. Now, here's the question. We talked about this on the air the other day when we knew you were coming in. When you sat down to write it, did you have David in mind?
Oh, absolutely. Because we'd done these improv sessions together, right. And we'd always enjoyed some of the stuff that we'd been doing. Had been playing with the sort of status dynamic of David playing a high status, quite alpha, and me playing sort of more introverted, sort of diminutive, sort of British man. We'd always enjoyed that relationship, and that was what I felt that if we were going to do a project together, it should explore that kind of territory and that kind of bromance and relationship. So as soon as it was probably a year or so after all the Morning Has Broken stuff, which was that other show, that I think I did like a page treatment, and I'd sent it to David, who really liked the sound of the idea, and I had a script commission from Expectation, the production company, and so I wrote up this idea, and then from then on, David was sort of officially on board. So
when you saw the script or when some of the early ideas from Nick, because it's very British, I think, and you've spent a lot of time here, David. I mean, you're pretty much an adopted British person. Was there anything in there? A word or a phrase or anything?
Sure. In every script there's a word or two that I will flag with Nick and say we gotta. I don't even know what this means, but certainly the American audience won't. So let's find, if we can, a substitute. And sometimes it's it's just a slang word or a word that is more colloquial,
or a turn of phrase sometimes
turn of
that
phrase.
means something even
So
different.
David's not like going, what are opal fruits? What are...
I would, because I wouldn't know. Yeah.
David, just a yes or no answer.
Okay.
I have to ask. If I don't, people will be upset. Obviously, everybody talks about the reunion. So
A yes or no?
Let me just ask you the question. So I've asked you, do you think there's any chance of a People versus OJ reunion? Everybody wants it. We'd love it. Is there any chance?
Well, just a yes or no? It would be a no.
Oh, God damn it.
I know. It would be great to revisit those.
Even like a Christmas
Characters.
special?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
that is a shame.
And finally, question for Nick.
Yeah.
As a self-confessed thief, do you feel now that you've been rehabilitated and
Yes.
you've left those days behind you?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that makes it sound bad, but I just want. I just shouldn't really say this.
It's in a GQ video that the guys did the other day. I watched.
Okay,
But basically,
yeah.
Nick Mohammed has brought crime to a place that never had crime before.
Yeah, I once pickpocketed someone, but it's because they were being really nasty to me, and I just put their wallet in the drain.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't even in this country; it was on the Faroe Islands.
Oh, that doesn't count then. That's
There
all
you
right.
go.
Yeah.
There you
I
go.
love it. Wasn't even here.
Wasn't even here.
Somewhere else. Let them deal with their crime figures now that I have been there, disrupted their fine land, and then left.
I'd never have you down as a pickpocket.
No,
Ever.
no.
Lovely to see you.
Thanks for having us.
Come back anytime. I can't wait for people to see the show.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can't more than me, in fact. And I'm sure it'll be back for a second series because it's really good.
Oh, cheers.
Very funny.
Mr. Nick Mohammed and Mr. David Schwimmer.
The Chris Moyles Show.